The biggest, mark against Roger Goodell I could put out there, all the information's out there, the latest being that Outside the Lines reporting Ray Rice told him the truth when they met personally. But the biggest mark I can put against him is that I don't necessarily believe he's telling the truth. Not now, and just in general. They say once you break trust, it's hard to get it back. That's one of the things they always talk about in relationships and everything. And when he's in that position of power, and as a consumer, if other people are like me, not necessarily saying you're a liar about each specific thing, but just having a general lack of trust is not a good thing. I mean, RJ, do you believe him? Do you trust? I guess the better way do you trust Commissioner Goodell?
Nope. What's one thing that you can definitely say he's handled correctly in this process? You can say, I'm going to give you $1 million. This is true in this Ray Rice situation. And you know for a fact where say if you lose, you got to have to give me $1 million. Is there something you'd feel confident in?
No, I'm going to have to start taking out some loans.
Add on those school loans.
Well, they don't give you the kind of interest rates they give you school loans to just give someone $1 million. I don't think the bank would give me that.
Could I procure $1 million?
You?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Well, how's your credit? But you can't get $1 million. You could get maybe like 15 grand, but I don't know about $1 million.
I could do some damage with 15 grand.
I don't know if your income is high enough to get, unfortunately for you.
You don't think I could pay back $1 million loan?
Maybe. No, I'm not saying you couldn't pay back $1 million loan.
No, I can't.
I have belief in you. I have faith in you. Eventually, I think you'd be able to pay back $1 million.
I have no faith in me.
No?
I could buy one of those parking spots. Did you see those in Soho?
No.
$1 million parking spots.
Just the parking spot.
$1 million.
Well, that's why, people used to ask me when I first moved to New York, do you have a car? I was like, no, I'd have to live in it. If I had a car up here. 1-800-919-3776. Do you trust Commissioner Roger Goodell? 1-800-919-3776 at Robin Lundberg on Twitter. It's also Friday, and since fans are more informed than ever, every Friday a fan comes to hang out in the studio with me, something we call Panelist Friday.
What if I told you that this wasn't just any other show?
Season 2 of Panelist Friday, fans more informed than ever.
What if I told you what you're about to hear may change your radio listening life forever?
So every Friday, a fan's going to come in and sit in the studio and hang out for the show.
What if I told you some of the things you hear might confuse you a bit?
How much is college now? You're going to pay thousands of dollars a year.
$1 billion.
Like 15 grand a year. And that can't include books?
Why don't we replace anything beyond 9th grade math with sports trivia class?
We call it DeeJayMiLLz Makes His Mark on Panelist Friday. And it's presented by Robin Lundberg and ESPN New York, 98.7 FM.
Well, we welcome DeeJayMiLLz to Panelist Friday, someone who's an avid consumer of the show and frequently tweets at me. What's up, DeeJayMiLLz?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
You're also a school teacher, which is interesting. Do your kids in school call you Mr. DeeJayMiLLz?
Absolutely not.
No, okay. But you teach math and history.
Yes, he's math and history.
Would you be in favor of RJ's suggestion of removing math class and replacing it with sports trivia?
It could be an elective. That's about it. It can't replace it.
It can't replace math.
Absolutely not.
All right.
It could be an elective, possibly.
Well, I'm going to ask you the question I'm asking the rest of the audience, which is, do you trust Commissioner Roger Goodell?
Trust him with what?
In general.
I don't trust him, not at all. He's fumbled everything he's done. You mentioned a list of them, but this thing, he's made enemies. TMZ is against him. The women's groups are against him. He has been a disaster. And I won't call for his firing, like you, but I think Roger Goodell has been a disaster.
Talking about it, I was thinking, we spent a lot of time talking about commissioners and all these controversies in sports recently. Bud Selig is leaving. Rob Manfred taking over as commissioner. What should he do to improve baseball? Adam Silver handling the Donald Sterling situation. By the way, if Adam Silver was handling this situation, do you think it would have been bungled the way it's been bungled?
Absolutely not.
And now Roger Goodell. But with Goodell,
Selig is another one I'm not a fan of either.
Selig's gone, so
Selig is another disaster.
It's about how they improve that going forward. 1-800-919-3776. Jeff in the Jersey Shore. Jeff, you're on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Hey, what's going on, brother? It's been a long time, man. I used to call all the time, man. But
well, what happened to you, Jeff?
Well, with the work schedule.
Oh, you got I got work. I can't call. I got work. No, go ahead.
No, it's even just that, like work schedule things.
I'm just messing with you, man.
About the Niners or whichever.
Yeah.
Soccer. But I wanted to touch on some things, man. You said it earlier about Bountygate, and I always felt like there was something. If you give me the time, I'll explain it to you. I always felt like there was something curious about Bountygate. Like, I don't know if you remember Jonathan Vilma making a big deal about why he wanted to appeal and why he wanted to know certain things. He wanted to know who the source was, the quote-unquote source was. And I think there was a violation of not just like football players' rights. We're talking human rights. I had a feeling like they had some sort of surveillance, whether it was microphones or even cameras in these NFL locker rooms. Like, they were violating their own employees' rights.
Well, you know what, Jeff? I guess the point I would take away from that is, in all these other cases, you don't hear the NFL, specifically people have referenced Bountygate. He said, Roger Goodell said, ignorance is not an excuse. But for all these other things, you never hear the NFL say, well, we couldn't get what we needed. It's always like, here's what we're doing, we're investigating, and here's the suspensions. They're levying the penalties. Because Roger Goodell was known for that, right? And I always wondered how he came up with the suspensions he came up with. It seemed arbitrary. Like, he pulls them out of a hat. Well, for this, 3 games, congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't know where they come from. But Bountygate's not the only thing I listed him. I'm struggling to think why he has this reputation as the greatest commissioner ever or whatever, aside from money. And the NFL makes money, but the NFL makes money. It's popular. I mean, a lot of people could break all that stuff out and make some money. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't done anything good, and I've heard really good things about the stadium experience, how they're trying to improve that going forward. So I don't want to take away any and all credit. I'm just saying it says something if I struggle to name the great positive thing he's done, and I can easily go Spygate, Bountygate, lockout, refs, concussions. Ray Rice.
That's enough. The average guy can't be late more than 3 times or he's fired. So I just want to put that out there. The average guy.
No one says that he's not punctual. That's not. No one said he's not punctual. Doesn't show up to the office.
He has fumbled a lot.
1-800-919-3776.
Would you give him the ball to run with?
What is that? A metaphor? I mean,
I'm just like, would you if he was your running back? Would you trust him with a football in his hand? You can't even trust this man with a football in his hand. Yeah, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor, for sure.
No, I don't trust. Like what I said before, I don't trust him. 1-800-919-3776. Tommy Build It 77 tweets in, can we get Donald Trump to fire Roger Goodell consolation prize for not getting the Buffalo Bills? Don't get me into Donald Trump. I don't really want to talk about Donald Trump. Robin Lundberg Show, ESPN New York, 98.7 FM. I said coverage beginning at 2 p.m. for the Jets game this weekend. 2:30 for the Jets win over the Packers, which is coming up this weekend.
Does coverage ever really stop?
For Jets here? No, of course. I mean, we're your home for all things Jets. Explosion. That was my wedding song, DeeJayMiLLz. Is he singing? Is that on the air right now?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know. I'm into that. I like
That's
that.
That's happening.
Oh, no doubt.
All right. But none of the parts that shouldn't be sung on the air were just sung on the air, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay, that's good.
No. I didn't use any profanity.
DeeJayMiLLz is our fanalist today. Every Friday.
Wake up, everybody.
A fan sits in the studio, hangs out with me because fans are more informed than ever. But he was just singing.
Thank you very much.
Singing my wedding song, and not shy. Let's go to Antoine in Jersey. Antoine, you're on ESPN New York 98.7.
What's up, Antoine?
What's going on, DJ? What's going on, Ron? How you guys doing?
Peace.
Hey, what's going on, man? Go ahead.
Not much. Let's put it out there with this situation. Domestic violence is wrong. No man should have a right to hit a woman. No woman has a right to hit a man. I want to get that out there right now. I think the thing that's really frustrating with this situation is, yes, Roger Goodell has messed up and given Ray Rice 2 games. But he was also going by the information that he was given not only from Ray Rice, but also from his wife, Janae. Maybe Janae spoke on his behalf and felt like that he didn't deserve a year-long suspension or 8 games, and he just went by that information. He's trying to fix what he realized he messed up once he saw the second video. He's trying to fix the situation, but everyone from players that were involved in Bountygate to Terry O'Reilly and the National Organization for Women are calling for his head.
Well, Antoine, see, my problem is I don't think he's trying to fix it. I think he's trying to placate the public. and make the NFL look better. I don't think any of this was about trying to fix what happened, because they came out with the domestic violence policy to try and fix what happened, right? They sort of made that up on the fly, and then that was thrown out the window after the videotape was released. As far as Janae Rice sticking up for her husband, that I get, and that I get how it could have affected him, but also he should have never interviewed those two in the same room to begin with. That's something that basically everyone who knows anything about domestic violence says not to do. And, I'm not going to criticize Janae Rice like some people have. It's just gross to me that some people are so self-righteous that they can tell her, get out of the relationship or whatever. Maybe she needs to. I don't know. I didn't like how callous he looked when he just stood over her after knocking her unconscious. That was very concerning to me.
Yes.
But I can't tell her what to do with her life, and she's the victim here. Of everybody, we can talk about anybody we want in this case and who's been wronged and who's done the right thing or whatever. There's only one victim, and that's Janae Rice. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize the victim in this process.
Absolutely.
Stuart in Brooklyn. Go ahead, Stuart.
Morning, Robin. How are you?
What's up, Stuart?
I can't. Yeah, good morning, DJ. How are you? Robin, the thing is, they should have suspended him. They should have stood by the 2 games because that's what they did. And that's the thing is, I don't know. I said before, give him a game, but I thought about it. And you say to yourself, well, you should stand by his original decision, and then later on you lay down if he does it again. Then you suspend him for 1 year or what have you, or 6 games, what have you. But the thing is, Robin, Goodell, I don't trust him. I wouldn't give him the ball. No way. He's fumbled up so many times.
He's using your metaphor there.
No doubt. Thanks a lot.
Let's go to Kenny in Manhattan. Hey, Kenny, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Robin? The crazy thing about Roger Goodell, I mean, he has done a lot for the owners, and the crazy thing is about Goodell is that everything he's done has always been at the expense of the players. He's made, after the lockout, the new deal was totally in favor for the owners. He saved the owners millions and millions of dollars after that lawsuit with the NFL players and the concussions. Like it was all at the expense of the players. Like he doesn't care about the players at all. And I agree with you that he's trying to placate the public. But he has done a lot in terms of making the brand bigger, making the owners a ton of money, and that's why they want to keep him. That's why they're all closing ranks around him. That's why they're all trying to protect him. You have this phony independent investigation that the NFL are hiring. They're hiring their own investigators to investigate themselves. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. I think Roger Goodell, I mean, he do I trust him? Absolutely not. This is definitely A-Rod territory. I don't believe anything that he says. And the greatest thing that I think can come out of all of this is that we live somewhere that if the voices, that the people still have the final veto. And if the voices get loud enough and the screams get loud enough, that you can hold really powerful people like Roger Goodell and the NFL, responsible for the things that they do. I mean, that's the only good thing that comes out of it. At least there's that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned them hiring their own investigators. Not that those people won't do a good job. I mean, it's perfectly fine. They could do a good job. But it is funny when you think of it in those terms. It's like, hey, Robin, we need somebody to investigate you. Who would you recommend? My mom. Why don't you have my mom investigate me?
Yeah, Robin, you know what this reminds me of? I mean, I hate to use this example, but when I was thinking about it yesterday, it reminds me of the sexual harassment thing with Isaiah Thomas and Dolan, how Dolan messed that up, and they took her to court and all this type of stuff. It just reminds me of the way Dolan and MSG handle it. It is same, they could have just given her a payment. Anuka Brown Sanders, I think her name was.
That was definitely her name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely. They could just get settled out of court, and it could have been over. But they decided to drag it through court, and it was just mishandled. And this kind of just gives me like the same kind of yucky feeling. This is a yucky thing the way they handled it was yucky, because it could have just been a suspension for 6 games and that's it. And it would have been over.
Well, it would have been over initially had they been more, harsh with their first suspension. That would have led to the lack of any fallout here. But once they admitted they made a mistake, they could have handled it differently from that point. And they keep compounding the mistake. I mean, you teach math. When you take a percentage and you multiply it by another percentage and then you multiply it by another percentage, the number keeps getting infinitely higher. And they're compounding the mistake right now. Mike in Manhattan. Mike, you're on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Yeah, what's up, Robin? You're 100% right. And the problem that I have is that instead of being a stand-up guy, and when I say that, I mean being strong enough to say, listen, I made a mistake. I gave this guy the suspension that I thought. I saw the tape. I didn't see the tape. He told me. Whatever that case may be, stand up. Like, he's falling to the pressure of the public, the media, and that offends me so much because, like we spoke about the other day, this moral police and this mob mentality is ridiculous. Like, I feel more sorry for Janae Rice because she has to hear her name every day, dragged through the mud, her video, all of this. And the people that are so much the moral police and they want to be superheroes, I want to save her, get out of the relationship. I can't save her. You can't save her. The only person that can save her is herself. Until she realizes what situation she's in and she feels like she's ready to get out of it or make it better, she's the only one that can save herself.
Well, look, I don't know their relationship. I don't know how it works. I don't know enough about the domestic violence. I also think, things are not, we don't live in a black and white world. Situations are individual. Yes, a lot of domestic violence cases happen to be patterned and habitual. And I've read much lately from women who explain why they stayed in the relationship and the effect it can have on you psychologically and all that. But I don't know their case. And this is her life. It's her life. It's her decision right now, and she is the victim. And there are certain topics in the public that are very misunderstood, that people don't have a good grasp on. And domestic violence is one of them.
Yes.
Mental health, I think, is one of them. Addiction is one of them. Because people will just, if you're not directly involved in those situations, it's hard to have an understanding because it's foreign to you. So when these topics become public or one of them is brought to light, the general populace can sometimes be dismissive or very opinionated about something they may not have a good knowledge base on. Leslie in Jersey. Hey, Leslie.
Okay, Robin, I'm going to flip the script because I'm already very viced out. You know what? Let me tell you something. The Giants, as always, get a free pass by the adoring media and by the Giants fans. I keep hearing, it's the benefit of the doubt because...
Hey, wait, have I given them a free pass? I've called them terrible.
Oh, no, I'm just saying in general. Of course you ripped the Giants, but I'm just saying in general. I don't think the Giants have gotten ripped enough. And you know what? After what I saw Monday, I'm so disgusted, okay? This was a disgrace. This was Ray Handley's performance, okay? Where the team was unprepared, disorganized, and it's been going on for 2 years. To me, this is on top of Eli Manning being great. The guy's been overrated forever. You can talk about his 2 Super Bowl rings. Well, I got news for you. Trent Dilfer also won a Super Bowl ring. My point is, this is a team that has tapped out. This is a team that really needs change at the end of the year. Yes, they won 2 Super Bowls, but they also missed the playoffs 4 out of 5 years, too. And to me, you could win the Super Bowl, but you got to be a playoff team consistently. And this Giants team hasn't had it, and I don't think this year's going to be any better, Robin.
So what you're saying is you don't think the Giants are very good?
No, I think they're going to win only 5 games this year, and hopefully we'll have a clean house, and then the Giants should hire Brad Childress as the next coach next year.
Brad Childress? Where did that come from, Brad Childress? Leslie, probably correctly assessing the Giants overall. I don't know. Coughlin's now a 2-time Super Bowl winner. If he leaves, it will be gracefully. He's not going to get fired. I think it's more about personnel with the Giants than anything else. More about that than, Eli or Coughlin or any of these people. They're just the people we gravitate toward because they're the quarterback and the coach, and we tend to be fixated on those sort of things.
I think they're looking past those two. Todd Coughlin and Eli. I think they're looking towards Jameis Winston or somebody. I think they're
the organization itself.
Yeah, I think their organization's looking past those guys.
I doubt they draft unless Eli just is terrible again this year.
Is Eli in the last year of his contract? Remember when he got the $100 million?
No, he just signed an extension.
He just signed an extension?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
He's not in the last year of his contract. Well, I'll have to get the details of his deal, but it's certainly not the last year.
You need to go after Jameis Winston, really, honestly.
Well, they could have a very high pick, so they might be able, they might have their pick, but they probably use it on a defensive or an offensive lineman, I would guess.
Which is sad.
Well, that's
with Jameis Winston out there, you're going to go get a
I think their
defensive
problems
player?
I think their problems are on the line more than they are at quarterback. Even as poorly as Eli's played, the real issues with the Giants, I think, are up front. Abby in the Bronx. Abby, you're on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
What up? I think this dude, the commissioner's going down, man. I feel bad. Well, I don't really feel bad. He took, since he's been in charge, he took $74 million from players in fines. So, you can see yesterday in the tweets, a lot of players, especially Jonathan Vilma, they just going off on him, and and serves them right, because if you look at all the clips that they've been showing lately, and even before the drama, he walks in the stadium, right, with this machismo, gangster walk, and he got his assistants around him. When he did that interview Monday or Sunday, whatever day it was, he was so timid and quiet and answering the questions real humble. I want to see this man brought to his knees, because I don't like him. So that's my opinion.
I don't need to see his destruction. It doesn't give me any satisfaction, but I don't trust him. I'll put it that way. As far as Eli's contract, he has 1 more year guaranteed on it. So it's not over this year. There's 1 more year after this season. Andy in Tennessee. Hey, Andy.
What's up, man?
How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How many interceptions did Eli throw Sunday?
2. No, none on Sunday. He didn't throw any on Sunday.
He didn't throw any interceptions?
Not on Sunday, no.
Did he have any turnovers?
Not on Sunday, no.
All right. In 2 years,
lucky.
That man's had 42 interceptions, 42 turnovers in 2 years.
Okay.
In 2 years. Now think about that. 42 interceptions.
Well, that's skewed by the 127 is horrible. I mean, last year, no, make no bones about it, he had 27 interceptions. That's terrible. The year before he had 15. That's no big deal. So you're using the outlier to judge the entire sample.
42 interceptions in 2 years is a big. You call him great, and he's got 42.
Well, I don't know if I called him great just now. I'm saying 42 interceptions in 2 years. Yes, 42 divided by 2 sounds bad in 2 years, but of those 2 years you're discussing, one was 27. 27 is horrible. 15 is not so bad.
Right.
So the number 42 doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
Well, you called him great the other day. He's not great.
He's not great.
I said he had great runs to the Super Bowl, no doubt about it. He had some great years. I would say he had 5 consecutive years that were good to great, and he had 2 great. Everybody wants to try and take credit away from Eli for the way the Giants won the Super Bowl. That's just false. Look at, first of all, remember what you watched. Second of all, look at the numbers on those 2 Super Bowl runs. He did it twice. He was excellent throughout both of those runs. Super Bowl MVP twice.
His overall career, he's not a great quarterback. His overall career,
his overall career, he is certainly not one of the best quarterbacks or a legendary quarterback or anything like that. He's the best quarterback in Giants history. He's also
Absolutely.
a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. So that's part of the equation, and that's what people. I think people, Andy, take it and get upset that he gets propped up for those postseason performances. So maybe that is disproportional, but it's also something that occurred. So you can't take him down, and cut that out from under him like he didn't do that.
All right, and my other question to you, well, that wasn't really a question, but my question to you is, do you think the media is going to get Roger Goodell's job? Because once they jump on something, they will not quit until they get what their agenda is. Do you remember when Bruce Pearl he lied about the cookout and he was going through his ordeal?
RJ actually said in my ear, Tennessee had basketball. I actually knew that, RJ. He didn't have to say it in my ear. But I didn't care enough to know all the details about what Andy's talking about. Go ahead.
When he was going through his little ordeal, we played Connecticut on ESPN. Every single timeout, every single break, they come back with his what he had going against him. like, just would not stop. Just
Well, I don't think the media's goal here, Andy, is to get Roger Goodell. I mean, there are some people who want that to happen, sure. And there are plenty who have expressed it very publicly. Keith Olbermann has been one since the beginning, before all this stuff came out, has been calling for Roger Goodell to resign. I saw Bill Simmons' most recent column. He says Roger Goodell must go. DeeJayMiLLz, our fanalist here today, says DeeJayMiLLz or Roger Goodell must go. I mean, there's been plenty of people who do express that as their opinion, but I don't think it's fair to say the overall media's goal is to get Roger Goodell. The woman from Now thinks he should resign. I mean, for instance, the Outside the Lines report that Ray Rice told the truth to Roger Goodell, according to multiple sources, that's not agenda-based. That's not to get Roger Goodell. That's to get information. Let's go to Sam in the Bronx. Hey, Sam.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
What's going on?
Good morning.
Honestly, I'm not surprised with this whole NFL situation. I mean, if you look at this way, this is the only sport that has multiple situations happen. Like, just how many crimes are committed by the NFL? And they only play 16 games, guys. You know, the NBA plays 82, baseball 160. Do you see as many problems with those sports compared to NFL? And it's like, it's a slap in the wrist all the time. You know, he doesn't enforce any kind of rules. It becomes a reoccurrence. It's a joke over there in the NFL. And I think it's time that, you know, I didn't look at it this way, but now I think of it as like, he has to go. One is he going to hold players accountable? I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, Sam, some people have actually, you know, his reputation was built on being the sheriff and trying to clean stuff up, and some of the players didn't like it because they felt like there was no checks and balances for the decisions he was putting out there. But it has been a league with not the best behavior off the field.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that, what he was talking about. Is, you know, you have the Bengals with 13 arrests. You know, every year you hear so many arrests. The NFL is a bigger issue. I mean, this thing is you know, this is violence with Aaron Hernandez. It's a culture of violence that the NFL is perpetrating, and Roger Goodell is running this fiasco.
Now, let me also clarify, because there are plenty of NFL guys, and I would say the vast majority of NFL guys are cool dudes. I've been around them. The vast majority are cool guys. So it's unfair to just paint with this broad brush and say NFL players. But with that said, it is by far the worst behaved sports league.
Absolutely.
And there are a number of reasons for that, and there's a number of, you know, exercises you could do to try and figure out exactly why. I would say, you know, one reason could be, and one explanation that I often offer up, is just the nature of the sport itself. I mean, in order to compete, there's a level of violence in the sport. There's a level of physicality that you're taught, and maybe some guys don't have an on-off switch. Maybe also, you know, there's certain medication or performance-enhancing regimen that guys are on that affects their moods, and there's just a lot of different things that can go into it.
But yeah, one time though, I'm just thinking, and at one time the NBA was fight-driven, guys getting in trouble, but they cleaned it up.
Well, and I don't even know how much it was. I mean, I think that was perhaps more perception than anything else. I mean, there was the Malice at the Palace, which was a big... I agree, the NBA's done a really good job repairing the image.
There were a lot of rumbles. I saw a lot of rumbles.
And, well, the NBA has made a concerted effort, certainly, in that regard, to the point where people accuse it of being soft, as far as... taking away any sort of violence on the ground. And I think that's a good thing.
It's great. I like what they did with the NBA, for sure.
Some people have a problem with it because you can't forearm shiver someone out of the air. You know, it's not okay, you know, to knock someone down going down the lane on purpose. But I think that's correct. They did the right thing. It's not basketball at that point. It's something else.
I remember Greg Anthony coming off the bench in street clothes and fighting.
Yeah, well, that was because it was
against Phoenix. I would never forget that.
Well, I mean, look, there are still sports out there where it's okay to just go to the center of the arena and fight. You just throw your gloves down, and it's okay. But the NBA battle to perception.
They got to stop that too in the NHL.
Oh, I think 100% they have to stop. It's a joke. But the NBA battles a perception problem too for a while, and it still probably does to a certain degree because of, you know, racial issues and stereotypes that factor in. John in Lake Grove. John, you're on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Good morning.
What's up?
Just a couple quick points so in the meeting with the commissioner, you got Ray Rice, his wife, his agent, and I'm pretty sure I heard someone say Ozzie Newsome in there. So if they see the tape, they probably saw it then. Why do the Ravens not cut him then?
Well, the Ravens said he told the truth back then, too, John. So this is all PR. Exactly. It's a PR. The Ravens cut him as a PR move. No, there's no questions asked. They cut him as a PR move.
So if they don't cut him, are we talking about this?
If they don't cut him? I think so. I mean, I think after that tape was released, people were talking about this, period, no matter what happened. The Ravens cut him as a reaction to the tape, and Roger Goodell suspended him indefinitely as a reaction to the tape because of the anticipated and because of what they already saw, the public outcry.
Where's the NFLPA on all this suspensions and definitely terminating this contract? It just seems like they could terminate him for anything. Terminate his contract.
Yeah, well, they can do that in the NFL. I mean, NFL contracts aren't guaranteed. I mean, that's not the contract thing is not foreign. That can happen to pretty much anybody. The suspension thing, I could understand your point as to why the Players Association isn't defending him in that regard. They don't want to. Nobody wants to be seen supporting Ray Rice right now, which I understand. And I've seen people try to do these acrobatics to sort of justify it's crazy. What people will do in their mind to try. There is no justification.
Yeah, there's no justification.
There's no justification for what Ray Rice did.
Absolutely not.
With that said, I do think he should be allowed to return to the NFL.
Absolutely, yes.
I also don't think his suspension should be longer than 6 games because they suspended him 2 games. That should probably be what it is. We can't, rewrite. You can't make things up as you go along.
That's exactly what they're doing. They suspended him for 2 games, and then they suspended him indefinitely.
Well, and they came out with a policy that said 6 games for your first offense, and they haven't even enforced that. Jose,
and I thought that was for next year.
Well, I think that was going forward.
Has that been ratified yet, or
it doesn't have to be?
It doesn't have to be. He just
full
instituted
autonomy.
it.
Yeah. Jose in Rockland. Jose, you're on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Yeah, good morning. I'm every day listening. First time calling. The reason why I'm calling, I think I'm so disgusted with what Roger Goodell's saying regarding the video. I've been an investigator for 18 years. There's no way in the world that he cannot get that video within 1 to 2 days. At the very least, maybe 4 days. All he has to do is go get the attorneys to get a subpoena to get a copy of that video.
I don't even think he needed a subpoena, right? I mean, he could have just asked the casino.
He's definitely lying. I got a video in 1 day from one of the hotels in Atlantic City, so I know this guy's definitely lying regarding that video. I'm pretty sure he saw it, and he was just trying to downplay the whole video.
Or they didn't anticipate the reaction that it would cause. Yeah, no, Jose, I mean, here's the thing. Even if they had seen the video, this is the problem with how they've handled it because they haven't taken a leadership role. Even if they had seen the video and still only gave the 2-game suspension. Let's live in a world where they hadn't lied about not seeing the video. Or, maybe they haven't seen the video. Whatever. Let's just say we live in a world where they did see the video and still only gave a 2-game suspension. Obviously, that would seem outrageous. But the 2-game suspension already seemed outrageous. So, had that been the case, and they came out and said, we saw the video, we still only gave the 2-game suspension, we're personally disappointed in ourselves, we realize we made an error, we have not treated this subject with the gravity it deserves, and as a result, we've done exhaustive research on how we can do this better, and we've come up with this policy, and this will be our policy going forward. You can't really criticize them then. You could say they bungled it, and everyone would say they bungled it, and they'd take their lumps for it, but they would have at least enacted change because of it, and they would have stood up and explained themselves, and it would have been over with in time. A week would have passed, and it would have been over with. Now, it's not over with because more information keeps coming out, and they've left the door open for people to determine whether or not they're actually being fully transparent in everything that's going on right here. A lot to still get into, including the Jets and the Packers. We'll talk to somebody in Green Bay, and we'll continue this conversation. Do you trust Commissioner Roger Goodell? 1-800-919-3776. Robin Lundberg Show, ESPN New York, 98.7 FM. It's